Welcome to show 12 of the Cloth Diaper podcast. Today's episode, I am joined by Stephanie from Snap-Ez. She is a mama entrepreneur for a cloth diaper brand, a long-established brand, based out of Washington State that is making cloth diapers after toddlerhood. So we're talking about diapers for kids bigger than 40 pounds, and we're going all the way into like a size 50-inch waist. You're going to want to listen to today's podcast if you want to talk to a homeschooling mama, if you want to know more about that type of industry, or just because you're passionate about cloth diapering. The Cloth Diaper podcast is a weekly podcast dedicated to everything cloth diaper. We interview mamas, brands, and retailers from around the world every week. The Cloth Diaper podcast show notes can be found at clothdiaperpodcast.com, and you can find us on the web at Cloth Diaper Podcast on Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also join our new Facebook group, Cloth Diaper Addicts, to chat everything cloth diaper. All right, guys, I have had a cold this week. You won't know and you won't hear it in my interview with Stephanie because I was better. But this morning, as this podcast airs, I have a new exciting guest, and you'll probably hear that I have a sniffle and a cough, and I'm so sorry. That is just October, isn't it? I hope that everybody else is well. I'm really excited for today's guest. Stephanie had a lot of information to share. It's definitely mostly her talking and less me talking. But she is going to share about her brand, Snap-Ez, which is making cloth diapers for all sizes and shapes and all abilities. Today's episode is really cool, even if you're not into extended size cloth diapering, because Stephanie is a passionate mama entrepreneur, and it is amazing to hear her story and her adventure in the cloth diaper business and industry. So if you are interested in that, or you might maybe know somebody, or you might have a connection, and this might be the episode that really can help her and help you and help your friends and help the earth and help all of these different things. So stay posted. Stephanie just had elbow surgery a couple weeks ago, so that's where we're going to jump right into. Thanks. So how's your elbow?
It's healing. It'll take like 6 months, they say, before the pain's gone. So it's, it's the same pain as it was before surgery. So I guess that's okay. It's functional. It makes it hard to not use it because I've been using it that way for like a year and a half. So it's hard to not use it because it's supposed to be healing.
And I'm totally pronouncing it wrong. It's Snap-Ez. Snap-Ez. It's not Snap-Ez. It's Snap-Ez, like EASY. Anyways, she'll go over that with you.
It's Snap-Ez, and I will tell you the backstory. I know it was started almost 15 years ago, kind of at the beginning of the new round of cloth diapers being popular. And I took over from someone who is now a neighbor. She was not a neighbor when I started working for her, but she started just out of desperation of needing a product for her kids and not having the funds, but she knew how to sew, so she made them. And it was named Snap-Ez because at the time, diapers were made with pins and, diaper pins, or people were doing Velcro. And so snapping them became an easier solution. So it was Snap-Ez. I sewed for her about 10 years ago when my oldest was a baby. I was one of her seamstresses, and then life moved us around, just around the county, not far, but we did other things, and I was far enough away that I didn't sew for her. And then we bought a house that happens to be like 3/4 of a mile down the road from her on the same street. And so I started sewing for her again. And over the course of about 2 years after we moved back up here, she realized I had a little more interest in the business than she did. She was just kind of done. She has 13 children, 9 of which are still at home, and 2 with special needs that needed more care than she was able to give so we took it over. And when I took over, I actually dropped the original part of her business was obviously baby cloth diapers, but I did all of the most of the shipping for her for like the previous year and a half, pull all the orders and ship stuff. And I realized that all of the infant and baby and toddler stuff generally wasn't moving because there are so many great cloth diaper businesses out there that are focusing on baby and children, because that's the majority of what people think of with diapers is baby and children. That's who uses diapers. However, there's also a huge market out there of people that are either larger than your average child that's potty training, like my kids. I have large children that don't fit into average size diapers even when they are potty training. And then you get into, people with disabilities or people that will potty train but not at 2 or 3 or 4 years old. They're going to be 6 or 7 depending on their disability or their cognitive abilities. Some of it's just, kids with autism tend to potty train a little bit later. Kids with Down syndrome, they will potty train but not at the general normal age range. That makes sense. And then we also have the elderly and everybody in between that has the hidden incontinence issues that nobody thinks about, that have those needs. So I dropped most of the kids stuff. I started about a size 2T, mostly because there's a lot of waste in fabric when you cut stuff, and it kills me to throw it away. And so I'm like, well, I'm gonna make them, and I'm still pushing them and use them, and I do sell them, but our number one sizes are really like the adult large and extra large. And then there are a few, I have a few newer customers that their kids outgrew the standard cloth size diaper or cloth diapers and found me and are so grateful that they're able to just continue on, and move right up to scale until their, kids get to adult size. Cause one in particular has a daughter that will most likely never potty train. She just has high disabilities. And so that's her life. And that's great that we can meet those needs. So.
You guys are making then a full range of cloth diapers, full size range. What is so
Yes.
You're starting at 2T and then
Technically there's like 4 different products. The smallest one size is, we call it a child medium, or there's also a multi-size toddler, which those ones do snap down to where if you have a really chubby baby, you could probably get it onto like between 1 and 2-year-old, depending on the size, up to my youngest is my skinniest. So he was like the end of potty training at about 2.5 and still fit into the multi-size toddler. So there's that. And then our child medium is our potty training style diaper that has the fold over elastic like you find on underwear. So it makes them easier to pull up and down, but they still snap on and off. So those are kind of more of a pull-up style, the potty training ones. And then they come in either a pocket version or an all-in-one for the briefs. We call them briefs in the adult sizes, training pants in the smaller sizes, because adults don't need training pants. So the smallest ones, we call it a child medium or a multi-size toddler. We tend to stay away from kind of the 2T, because again, most people, we recommend they measure and not base it off of sizes, because especially hips and thighs are so different on people. It's not like a t-shirt that you can kind of just get a general size and throw it on. And to avoid leaks, you want something that's going to fit the thighs and fit the waist pretty well. So anyhow, it starts there and goes up to an adult extra large, which is like an average like 42 to 44 inch waist. And then we also I make kind of I call it a modified 2X for adults. We call them snap extenders, which is just that you can snap in. It's just like a square panel with extra rows of snaps, so you can add sizes in the hips, between the hip and thigh or whatever. So it's not going to add anything to the rise. And we have those for all size diapers. So if your kid's outgrowing the multi-size toddler, but you just want to make it last a little bit longer because they're almost potty trained, all the way up. So our modified 2X is basically an XL with a snap extender already attached, so you have less bulk of adding in the extender. So we do really go up to almost, I think that'll hit like almost a size 50-inch waist, which for most people that think cloth diapers think, oh my word, it's huge. But I do actually get people that say, in the disposable world of adult diapers, that really doesn't fit very many people. Like, okay. So that's our number one, probably. I mean, I don't keep that good of track because we sell a lot, but I would say our regularized extra large is probably the most commonly sold one for a lot of people.
What was your most popular product? And so
say we have regular rise and low rise, which is kind of self-explanatory. The regular rise is better for like people that might be wheelchair bound or, for bedtime, because it's going to have higher coverage on the waist. The low rise is better for hiding the product, so you're not don't want people to know you're wearing a diaper. So it fits better under jeans and things like that. So the regular rise is our most popular one. I would say like in the large and extra large range. That's what I see sell most often when I'm shipping.
Who's your target? Like who's buying? Like what's for what purpose? Are we talking mostly adults with disabilities or
So
elderly?
many. The larger sizes I would say are mostly for generally adults with general incontinence. I know I have a couple that are ordering obviously for other people, whether it's a family member, they're ordering, for a parent. I know I have a newer customer that's ordering for her mom that has, like memory problems. As she's getting older and just needs help with that. So she's ordering. So anyhow, all I have to say, my knowledge base is based on their customer name, not on who's actually using it. But we do have a couple of people that are actually reps for me right now through Instagram. One of them is I actually don't know how old he is. Based on looking at him, I would guess, maybe 30-year-old, but he has cerebral palsy, I believe it is. And so he's one that he is capable of going to the bathroom on his own, but sometimes because of his disability, he just can't make it in time. So he likes the products that don't necessarily have as much absorbency, but it's there to catch the accidents. And he's told me, he's open about it and likes to make people aware of, hey, this is a need. This isn't, it's not, doesn't need to be hidden because it does kind of have a stigma with it. Like, oh my goodness, you wear a diaper. So there are people like that too, that just have, it's needs that they'll never overcome just based on how their body is. Does that answer your question?
It does, and it's
Okay.
I know it's always an increasing conversation in some of the groups. People like it can't be cheap to have to diaper an adult full
Right.
time if
Well,
they're
and I will
having
say,
incontinence problems.
right. And I would say, generally speaking, from what I know, people obviously don't share everything with me. It's
Yeah,
generally urinary incontinence. It's not, I mean, most people, if you're older and have fecal incontinence, most people don't want to deal with that. It's disposable is much better. But I don't know too many that do that. I will say, like, one of my regular newer within the last year customers, she's one that I mentioned. Her daughter outgrew kind of what she was able to find in the general cloth diapering world. And I don't recall how she found us, but she did. And her daughter has a unique, it's some sort of unique type of like diabetes or something where and this is way more information than people want to know, but basically to make sure that her body was processing stuff, they had to smell the diaper, and there was a difference in the smell of the urine. But with disposable diapers, it was masking the smell because they're designed to,
right.
absorb odors. And so she couldn't do that. It really didn't work for what they need to. And I don't know if she has to do that all the time, but it was kind of one of those, it was a sign of a problem if there was something came up. And her daughter's nonverbal, and so there's no way to know kind of what's going on. So for her, she needed cloth diapers. But then it also comes on the other end of insurance covers disposable diapers for people with disabilities. I haven't found a way yet to see how insurance will. Sometimes it will cover, depends on what you have. I have people that will submit stuff and get receipts from me, but for them it was a decision of, this is better for our daughter, but insurance will cover this, so which one is better for us financially and all those things. So it is a long term, it's cheaper, we know, to do diapering, especially if your child's not ever going to outgrow it. They'll outgrow the diaper, but not the needs.
And I guess a lot of people choose the cloth diaper for different reasons, and even if they have insurance
Right.
covering, they might still choose to do it.
Yeah, and some do. Some choose. Yeah, some do choose, and it really goes both ways. Like I said, I have a few that have told me they prefer the cloth. Really, for me, I would think comfort wise.
Yeah, right. Like
I don't know about you. I wouldn't want to wear a disposable diaper for life.
no, even like if you think disposable feminine hygiene products, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's like 3 days of torture if I have
Right. Yeah.
disposable feminine hygiene.
Oh yeah. Well, and I couldn't imagine. I mean, yeah, you hear about bed sores and all that kind of stuff, and I can't imagine having to be in disposable lifelong, or even if it's a temporary thing. Like I can't imagine. But I know that it's more of a caregiver choice sometimes, is they don't want to deal with it than the
Yeah.
patient themselves, depending on who it is, or the person wearing them.
You mentioned earlier one of your customers mostly uses it for accidents, like not necessarily for catching full peas. My question here was about juggling the absorbency needs of adults and older children versus toddlers.
Yes.
A struggle that you find that your customers face compared to maybe baby diapering?
Sometimes I will say, honestly, my knowledge of baby diapering is not real strong. I did cloth diaper my first one, mostly because I was sewing for Ruth, the original owner here, and she had a bunch that she gave me. Her kids at the time, she didn't have kids in them, or they were ones that she wasn't using or something. And I used them. I enjoyed the concept and I enjoyed using them. And there was a season of about 6 months where it was just, for us, it was just, we didn't want to spend the money on diapers, so we used them. But my husband absolutely hated it. He just thought it was gross, and I get it. Like, I get that it can be gross. He didn't have to deal with them or touch them, but he still didn't like it. So, and I had a son who literally, he was just an extreme heavy wetter, and so I probably didn't do things right on my end because it was such a limited knowledge then 10 years ago. But I will say my customers, every once in a while, like I just had someone that was emailing back and forth, and of course it was someone in like England, so it was harder to like be able to just keep. Sometimes we'll ship back and forth if they find a product's not working. I don't mind paying the shipping, but to England that's a little more expensive, so I just sent him a new product and said don't worry about it. But he had one, but they had one that was one of the brief style, and those ones, since they have the elastic on the edges, that can tend to leak a little bit more. So it depends on the absorbency, but it really, and it depends. And I will say my overseas customers don't always buy the inserts from us. They'll use what they can find, so that's harder for me to manage or regulate. And I understand, because our hemp inserts, which is our main inserts we sell, are fairly heavy when it comes to shipping costs. It adds a lot on that, and so when I've shipped them overseas, it's pretty expensive. And so that's one thing for them, so it is harder to regulate on that end. But generally speaking, I for the amount of happy customers to the amount that do have questions about leaking problems, I think it's more of a, they probably just sleep in an odd position, or occasionally my son, I have a 4-year-old that still wets the bed almost every night. And when I do have him in cloth, I use a couple of different ones for him. He almost always leaks out, but he sleeps on his belly, and I think it just all comes straight out the top. Like, it doesn't have room to go anywhere because of how he sleeps. And I've tried different things, even in disposable diapers, because I had someone that gave me some that their kids had outgrown. He leaks out of those, and they're completely full. They absorb, but he still leaks out of them.
So juggling absorbency, though, hasn't been like a big complaint. Like, that's not the reason people.
Not really. I will say, like, with the not really. I haven't had it as a big complaint. I mean, I'll get people to ask. They'll ask questions, and I respond, and then I don't hear back from them. So I'm assuming they get it figured out. Part of it is just getting the initial washing done to make sure it's absorbent. But we did recently switch over the material we buy for the hemp inserts. I came across the fact that this company sells it like pre-washed or not. And so we were buying the non-pre-wash stuff, which takes like 8 washes in a hot cycle to get all the oils out and cleaned and ready for absorbency. So I switched over for $2 a yard extra. They'll pre-wash it for you, so that saves a lot of steps, and I think helps with the absorbency right away, and people aren't questioning it for the first round. So that helps. And then I will say, like, in the adult all-in-one briefs, we only offer them in the all-in-one or in the brief style, so that's more of the underwear styles, and it's a lot more discreet. Those we say on there, they're for light absorbency, daytime use. Maybe you're just at a meeting somewhere or so, not for like, I'm going to be in the car for a 4-hour drive. That is not that kind of thing. It's more of just or for catching accidents, things like that. But we try to let people know they're not designed for high high amount of absorbency, but we are working on it. We have a couple of things in the works for switching over to a different style insert, and actually hopefully maybe coming up with a hybrid version that's an all-in-one but also a pocket so you can add to it, but I'm not sure yet.
Tell us about your manufacturing process. You are using seamstresses in their homes versus going overseas or other options. Why have you chosen this, and how does it look like?
Right now, that's just how it has gone all along. And to be honest, I'm kind of at a crossroads where I need to decide if I want to switch over and try the overseas thing. I've had people that are like, oh yeah, it's like, I would always pay more knowing that it's made by people, supporting local moms and doing this, even though they're not local to me. I mean, the number of customers I have in the state of Washington versus the rest of the country and the world is very small. I would say less than 10% of my customers are even from the state of Washington, let alone local to where I am.
Oh, wow.
but I still get people across the country that like to know that they're supporting small business and that kind of thing, which I get. I'm a small business. I've had a previous small business. I like that people support that. However, I do see the need, and it would be nice to be able to meet the need of my customers at a lower price point. But I just recently, we've been in it about a year and a half, and my husband and I are like, well, we can take it that next step and try and go to a bigger overseas thing, and see, but I just haven't quite gotten there. So anyhow, so to back up, currently I have, let's see, I have 3 that sew our pocket diapers, and then I have 2, so there's 5 that sew the brief style diapers. And then a couple of those overlap and do our accessories, and one of them does cutting, and then I have another girl that does all of our snapping now. Now that I'm out of commission, I used to do the cutting and snap. So the 5 though that sew for me are all work at home moms. It is nice to be able to support them, and they're one of them is the oldest daughter of Ruth, who started the business, so she's been part of the company since the beginning. She knows how it is, and now she has 2 of her own kids that are in diapers. So, and then I have one that's been doing it, I think, about 5 or 6 years. She can never remember how long ago she started, but she's been doing it for a while. And then one that she started cutting for me, and now does both cutting and sewing because I stopped sewing now that I took over. So anyhow, it is nice to support that, but I definitely go back and forth on even doing a local, opening a warehouse, for lack of a better term, a small, a manufacturing facility could be an option. But I also homeschool my kids and kind of like doing that, and I have 2 little kids that that aren't in school yet, so I couldn't, even if we wanted to switch something, it's kind of a hard crossroads. So we're getting there. I'm working on it, and I don't know, honestly, I don't know what people prefer and what would be better for us. It's a hard decision to make.
Yeah, manufacturing is daunting. I know I've talked to a few guests on the show who've gone overseas, who they produce overseas, and just a lot of work. It can be a lot.
Yeah, well, and that's where I'm at. And my husband's from El Salvador. His family still lives down there, and so part of me's like, I know things like, I think it's Hanes or somebody, one of the major, or Fruit of the Loom, I think it is produced in El Salvador. So I know they have manufacturing companies down there. So I'm like, I could go there and actually have family probably working for us, like do the whole family thing. So it's a slightly less daunting, but still overwhelming to think about. So I'm like, well, it just would be such a huge thing, and really probably take way more hours than I'm mentally prepared for at this moment. But I would honestly, really, the bottom line is that I would love to be able to offer the product to people at a lower price point, because I literally had somebody email me probably like a year ago that was like, I really love your product. It's better than anything else I found, but I can find this other product for cheaper. But I feel like in their email, they basically said, yeah, I'll have to buy it more frequently because it doesn't hold up. So in the long run, it's the same cost. But, in a monthly budget, or a yearly budget, even when you only have so many dollars, and I get that, that's how our family lives. We can't afford, like our largest size diaper is $52 for one diaper, and that's without the insert. So I get it. Those are expensive, but we also live our local community where I'm paying, our seamstresses get paid per piece. Minimum wage is like $11.50 an hour. So it does add up to the cost of per diaper. I mean, some diapers, some of our products, you can make about 4 in an hour, really, or maybe 5 if you're pretty quick and in a groove. But on the larger sizes, you're only getting 2 to 3 done in an hour. So you cost in the material, just the materials and the labor, it adds up. So overseas, not that I like the concept of paying people less money, but I know that that's just cost of living. You can get away with, I know I could save money and offer that to my customers.
So what sets Snap-Ez apart from other brands? So you're saying you are a more expensive product, but why should we choose Snap-Ez versus maybe a Bum Genius bigger, or an Apple Cheek size 4?
Well,
or
to be honest, right, that's the thing, is what sets us apart really is that we offer sizes that most companies don't offer. The only other one I'm aware of, and I haven't ever seen or touched, felt their product, I've just seen it online, is Super Undies. But they're a pretty different style product. Theirs is definitely more of an underwear with the waterproof. I don't know that it's the waterproof layer throughout or just in the wet zone area. I know they offer some larger ones that do snap on and off, but they're definitely a different style. When you look at it, to me, when I look at it, it looks like underwear. I don't look at it and think, oh, that's a cloth diaper for adults. which they both have their, pros and cons, I'm sure. And so they're the only other company I know of in the US that's making something similar. So I think to me, that's what sets it apart. But there are large adult cloth diapers you can buy that fit in with the Chinese cheapies type of thing. But again, when customers have told me about them, they last for about the cost. They don't last as long or hold up as well. Like I said, I'm not as familiar with even the larger sizes in the kids brand. That my focus is more on those sizes that just aren't available at all to most people. But yeah.
So from the sounds of it, you're really the only one in the industry that you know of making
that I know of. Yeah. And I know there are people that just make them, for like, they know how to make diapers, so they make them bigger for people, but no larger business is doing it.
I think there's Rears in Canada.
Okay.
REARZ, I believe, is the one in Canada that I've heard.
That sounds somewhat familiar. And I will say it's a little awkward to search for cloth diapers on the internet, adult size cloth diapers.
Yes,
because there's a whole under subculture of people that wear them for fun, and I'll leave it at that. But when I first started, honestly, just like when I opened our Instagram account, I kind of like searched some hashtags thinking, oh, I'll just find some followers. It's a little weird. And so, even with a name like Rears, you think, oh, great. But it's, but I have found I had found somebody that's a YouTube blogger that I think kind of crosses over into both communities. I think she needs them for incontinence, but also crosses over some because other people were like, yeah, I wasn't sure when you posted that video because I sent her a product to do an updated review. She had done one years ago. And so I had a few people that were like, I wasn't sure I wanted to click on that video. It's like, okay, good to know.
So is that one of the biggest challenges that you're finding with writing?
For me is like like I mentioned, I tried doing the whole Instagram brand ambassador type of thing or brand reps. And one of them is a mom, her daughter has special needs. And she told me, she's like, yeah, I started doing this, but like when she made it, I don't know if her account had been private before, but she had made it public and she was getting all of these people adding her. She's like, but I wasn't sure. I mean, I have a few, there aren't too many that really comment or do stuff very often that I notice as awkward or weird on our Instagram account. I just, sometimes, you just read their name and you're like, I'm pretty sure I don't want to follow them back. Thankfully, most of them are private anyway. Like if I have clicked on them, it's like, yeah, I don't need to know. But I do find it's a hard thing to search for online. You either find, medical supply companies and it's disposable. I've contacted them about trying to do wholesale stuff. And it's like, yeah, we find that it's not, the cloth diaper thing really is, that's just not what works for them, which I get. That's fine. It's a medical supply company. They want people that are going to buy over and over and over again, not people that are going to buy once and be set for the next few years. So, and I'm sure that's not their reason. It's kind of a hard place to market, I should say.
Yes, and trying to find like safe lines on something that I think is totally innocent, but there are other sides to it.
Yes.
Yeah, which is always a little awkward thought.
Yeah.
Who knew, right? Like you're like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, it was, especially on Instagram when you're not just searching like words, you're searching and pictures come up.
You've really got to figure out, I guess, how to tap into what that social media
and the hard
special needs really is, right?
Right. Well, and the hard thing is there are people in that community that will buy our product, and so I don't want to say that I'm fine with them buying it. That's fine. I just know that I would really like to meet the market of people that need our product because we do ship all over the world. I've shipped to, I don't know how many countries. And so there is a big need for it, probably worldwide, even more than we're getting. But obviously paying for shipping is a huge cost. I have somebody in Japan that she always asks me to like mark her customs thing as that she paid less just because of how much she has to pay on her end when she receives the package, with all of the duty and stuff, or whatever other fees they're tacking on. I know other countries are different.
Yes, we get it.
Yeah.
Every time things come to me in Canada, it's a lot of fees.
Yeah. And so it's one of those where she's always like, yeah, can you just say that I only spent $100? And, and there are certain, and it's every country's different. Some countries, I can put on there, it's for medical use and then they don't have to pay for it. But some people, they don't want people to know what they're buying. And so they're okay with paying the fees. And so it's like this little song and dance every time you do shipping of like, well, is it okay if I put that it's medical supplies or?
What I'm hearing though is that you're willing to work with your customers and meet them where they need you,
Yeah,
hey? And you're
that's
shipping everywhere. That's
that.
cool.
Yes, that's our goal. Yeah. And the funny
Yeah.
thing is though, being that you're from Canada, is we're literally like 10 minutes from. And I asked them, I was like, yeah, I wondered if it would be cheaper for me to save up Canadian orders, once a month, just cross the border
No.
and ship from there. And she said, no, it's not. Shipping from Canada to other places in Canada can be more expensive than shipping from the US to Canada. I
Yeah.
was like, really? That's weird.
Yeah. How do you find, I know you mentioned already that you are homeschooling mom of 4 kids. So how are you finding time to juggle or self-care?
That's a great question. We are part of a a program through our school district it's an alternative learning experience is what they call it. And so the kids do take classes once a week, which helps. And then it also helps me keep accountable to making sure we're getting school done because I have to turn in reviews. So I love that because they maintain everything, and make sure that I'm on track and doing it all. And only 2 of my kids are in school. The younger ones are not old enough yet, so that helps too. I'm really a homeschooling mom of 2 plus 2. But I do have, like, right now, my shop, my office, what separates my office from the kids' room, it's a big loft where the kids' room is and where they do school, is just my cutting table. So I can sit on the computer and I can sit and do work while they're doing school. And we just kind of, some moms fold laundry while their kids do school. I do work while they do school. But it is nice that it's at home. It's a home business, so I don't have to go to an office somewhere and work, and I rarely have to stay up late. That is the nice thing, that all of the manufacturing is not done by me. It's mostly all the computer work that I do. And I can, I have all the inventory here, but I am able to manage it by not, it's not all on me personally, which is nice because otherwise it would never get done, any
Yeah,
of
you're
it.
not
But the kid.
doing all the you're not doing all the manufacturing. You're really just running the business, which not that it's not a daunting
It
task.
does, yes. And I could literally spend 8 hours a day in my office doing that, but I don't, and that's fine. That's where we come into the what's best for my family. Do I want it to be a huge business, or do I want it just to be enough to work for us and for my customers? We're kind of at that crossroads. And I will say, my 2 that are in school right now they're 9 and 10 and a half, so they're fairly independent, even from being homeschooled. I can tell them what they need to work on and they can work on it. And so it's not, not quite at the teaching them to read stage where it's 100% hands-on with me for hours. But beauty of homeschool is really you only need to spend about 2 to 3 hours a day versus a full day of school like most kids would be in, because it's one-on-one and we can get it done, and we don't have the same distractions of a classroom and everybody needing to go to the bathroom. But all those little things that make a school day longer, we're able to do that, and we're able to take it with us. So if we're out and about doing other things, we do a lot of schooling on the road, if it were it's real world practical learning and not just book work. So we make it work for us right now.
Do you take time for you? Do you have hobbies? What are your hobbies?
Me, well, I do have hobbies. I don't do a lot of, independent things yet, but that's fine because I actually enjoy my children. We do have fun together, and we have 5 acres. So
Oh,
I,
nice.
I have a garden that's almost done, but I attempt, this year's garden was kind of pathetic because of the elbow. I couldn't do a lot of weeding, but it does, we have some, berries that are seasonal. I mean, they're ever bearing stuff. So we get them every year, so that I don't have to do much, but I can still enjoy the fruits of the garden that are doing its own thing. But we do that at home. But then we do a lot with our church too. So that's something else I do every, like, we have
That is important to you.
Bible study tonight and do a lot. Yeah, so we're there, and that's a nice, easy to get away. Or we have lots of play dates with a lot of my friends homeschool their kids as well, and so that's a nice thing, is during the week we can get together and the kids can play and we can have mom time, and or they can come over here and run around in the backyard because we've got a big yard, and we get the mom time in. We like to entertain, so it works. We
It
get it all
works.
done.
So you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier that you didn't really get into Snap Easy because you were cloth
Hmm.
diapering. That kind of came afterwards. So what's your why for being the owner of Snap Easy, and what keeps you going each day with running this business?
I enjoy being able to help people find what works for them. Previous to this, my mom and I owned a bridal consignment store for about 4 years. And that's the kind of the same thing, is just finding people what they need. You know, the beauty of consignment is that you're getting things for much cheaper, but you're getting a good quality product. So we're able to help brides find what they needed at their price point. And it's kind of the same thing now. There are people that, you know, I've done occasionally, I've done things that are somewhat custom to the person. You know, I had one regular customer for a long time that was kind of stocking up on stuff, and he really liked the brief style, but they were a little bit too low for him, and I knew he was a regular customer, and so we were able to, because we have them made, you know, on a weekly basis by our seamstresses, I'm able to ask the, you know, the specific seamstress, hey, can you make these this much longer and this much bigger, and we're able to meet their needs. Because for him, the brief style is more, it's more discreet, but the way he's built, it was not covering enough on him comfortably, you know. So I like being able to meet those needs of the customers. Cerebral palsy, and for him, pulling somehow the way his hands work, unsnapping the diaper, having the snaps in front, like the back pan, you know, back flap comes around and snaps in the front. For him, it's easier to do it the opposite, where the front pulls around and snaps at the back or towards the hips. And to me, I'm not sure why that's easier, but for him it was. And he had one diaper made that way and said, hey, can you do this? And we can on one product, because the snaps are put on at the end. On our pocket diapers, I can't really reverse it just the way they're sewn. The snaps go on first and it would be too much work. But for him, he was really excited about that because it's just functionally, it's easier for him. And I think almost to the point of it would be less likely he'd have an accident because he can unsnap it easier. And he's one that's wheelchair bound. So it's nice to be able to meet their needs.
Yes, that's a great answer. That's a great
Yeah.
answer. Where can
Okay.
people find you on the web? Where can people order your products?
Currently it's all through our website, which is just snap-easy, the letters easy.com. And then we're on Facebook and Instagram, but it's all the ordering is through our website, or you can email us if you don't see something, you know, if there's a color that's not in stock, let us know. I am working hopefully on getting wholesale stuff out there. So if you know of a place that you think would be a great fit, I would love to find, you know, people that are, there are businesses that are doing that kind of thing. It's kind of a hard market to find for wholesale, you know, brick and mortar type places, but we'd love to do that too. So,
But that would be an amazing opportunity to get into brick and
yeah,
mortar, right? You can really break
yes,
more communities that aren't necessarily an online.
right. Well, and just to be able to see it before you buy it is a nice thing to be able to do. So that's
So
kind of
hopefully,
our next step, hopefully.
yes, I'll include the links to her website and socials on the show notes for this episode. And yeah, I never know who's listening. So maybe somebody out there does know a brick and mortar. What would be your biggest piece of advice for moms listening to the show right now?
You know, I think just keep trying is the thing for, especially, you know, people that are committed to something like cloth diapering. There is a product out there. It may not be ours. It may be some other business, some other, you know, there's always something new. And so you just keep looking, keep trying, you'll find something. And if not, ask us, because we do like doing the custom stuff to make it work for you. So
That's a good one.
my input. Okay.
A couple of my shows this,
Uh-huh.
this past month, I feel, has been exactly that ask us question. Is we feel like we're going to burden somebody else if we ask for them to help us out, but that's really
Right.
sometimes their purpose in life, and so they would love it
Yeah.
if you reached out
Yeah.
and
Because
asked
we
us how we
don't,
can help you.
yeah. Right, and we don't know the needs that aren't being met unless people ask the questions. So,
Yeah.
you know, I would never think to put snaps going the opposite direction, but there are people out there that it helps. So, things like that, you just never know until they ask. So,
So keep providing Stephanie with feedback.
yes.
Every time I talk to a homeschooling mama, it just makes me want to homeschool my kids. But I know that I really need a break from my kids, and I'm not sure that's going to work out. But regardless, it was so much fun to talk to Stephanie today from Snap-Ez. I was so grateful to have this opportunity to have this conversation, and I learned a lot. I didn't even really learn a lot about, there's a whole industry here about plus size diapers, I guess, or diapers for adults. But there's also a lot of information she shared about getting her business going and figuring out her business and being a mama entrepreneur and meeting the needs of her customers. So, yeah, soak it all in. Go check her out online. If you know of somebody, drop that line, drop that email link. It's not an email link, it's a website link. And help spread the word, because this is how we can keep her in business. And it makes my heart full every time we know somebody like does a little happy dance when like a product ships, probably. Hey, so next week's episode might be delayed. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm about to go off to a big conference called Blistum in Toronto. I am going to this blogger conference. My husband and I decided that I needed a break from parenting and motherhood, and I kind of do. Anyways, find us on the web, clothdiaperpodcast.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest now at Cloth Diaper Podcast. And don't forget to join our Cloth Diaper group, Cloth Diaper Addicts. And if you would like to be on the Cloth Diaper Podcast, send me an email. That's really the best way to connect. And I can set up a date and time, and we can have a chat. We can have an interview. We can just bicker about cloth diapering. If you have something that you're passionate about, let me know. If you want to advertise your brand or you want me to review a diaper, let me know. If you have a topic, also send that to me. If you have a topic that you want me to, you can just like slide that into my DMs. But if you're talking about scheduling an interview, my email is the best place, because then I can remember to see it. And I'm at Bailey at clothdiaperpodcast.com. And I hope to see you next week. Bye.